Welcome to the Medical Device Made Easy podcast. Here is Munir Lazouzi from easymedicaldevice.com, and today we'll talk about the regulatory affairs within the design phase or design development for your products. Last week, I think, or the week before, I had made a post on LinkedIn talking about specifically the intervention or the involvement of regulatory affairs within a project like design, and it was like a funny picture where we had a person in the room saying, "Oh, we just need 1 million, and we can make the products go to the European market." And somebody else in the room said, "Oh, does it include the CE marking?" Which mainly that it was not, because mainly they were never involved on the process. So yeah, it was just a funny thing to say. Yeah, we usually involve regulatory people are really at the end of the process, and we want to really to talk about that specifically for design phase. And for that, I have with me Aouda Ouzza. So Aouda, welcome to the Medical Device Made Easy podcast.
Thank you, Munir. So thank you for the invitation today. I'm really excited to be part of this podcast, which is really interesting for me. And I have been facing a lot of funny stories about this, a lot of questions. So I'm Aouda. I have been working since 16 years as regulatory affairs, and I am the owner and the CEO of Smart Cara, helping supporting a lot of companies, corporate startup from the design until the post-market surveillance. So
Exactly. Yeah. So it's funny because we have a lot of a network of a lot of consulting firms working, etc. on this, and yeah, it's funny because mainly a lot of those consulting firms are also embedded in those projects, and they are facing some kind of those issues where at the end the guys comes and say, "Oh, I finished my development and everything, and now I need to go to the market. So can you help me?" It's like the a moment where I say, "Okay." We know already where it will be going, so let's. So can we clarify mainly what is this problem that we have with regulatory affairs and design mainly, or the design phase, where we have mainly this sometimes some problems that are appearing. So can we maybe list some issues that we have identified, or maybe it's not an exhaustive list, but just maybe something that we already
yeah,
faced.
yes. So in many industries, so there is a growing of disconnect between the regulatory and also a product design teams, and so here is a breakdown of the current problem. Some of them, for example, the late involvement of regulatory, and for example, like a regulatory expert is like brought after the key design decisions are made, and this is, can lead non-compliance and the delay in, for example, in the approval. There is also another point which, or I can say another problem, which is misalignments on the documentation. And the designer cannot understand what exactly regulatory needs. For example, design, for example, the risk management, design, risk analysis, labeling, design history. I mean, and also the slowed innovation due to the miscommunication. So ARA, like regulatory teams or regulatory department, may be seen as a barrier to the innovation, which is like ERA also sees the design teams as in non-compliance, creating like a little bit tension between both of the department, and this is like some kind of problem I listed. And also that the design team can also or maybe marketing can consider global regulation are involving quickly. For example, the MDR like changing rules, FDA updates, and may not be aware about regional the difference between all this compliance, and they are not trained also. So there is a lack of the training between for the design or marketing or whatever. So this is all problem I listed. And by the way, there is a funny story I had
Okay.
with the, as I mentioned from the beginning, I worked with the corporate and with the like a small companies, really like a startup, and one of these startups, so they were like releasing a version of the software every week. And every week they want to launch those product like this software in the market. But I said, when did you do it? They said last week. But we are still like, we have to still to approve the first one. We are in communication with the notified body. How we can approve the 2.0? We are still in 1.0. So it's really funny. So they said, we don't know. And did you follow the steps? Did you follow the design input, design output? Do we did the regulator strategy? No, we didn't do it. How we can do it? And yeah, so it make really miscommunication, and the project was stopped because they thought that we are a barrier of to don't like make an innovation in the market as soon as possible and quickly, and it's always regulatory.
Unearth the pulse of the medtech world with MedTech Conf, a dynamic platform featuring global events on medical devices, biologicals, IVD, and pharmaceuticals. Stay informed, stay ahead, connect, share, and elevate your knowledge. Become an official sponsor. Make your event shine on the map. MedTech Conf, your key to the medtech universe. Remember, the future is now, and it's at your fingertips with MedTech Conf.
Yeah,
So yeah,
usually on all the projects that I had, I mean some of the projects, because at certain point we have to educate our team also. So mainly they call you at the end and say, okay, now we have finished all the design. Can you make the registration? It's like, okay, do it. So okay, as you said, so do we have the risk management? No. Do we have this? No. Do we have that? No. Did you follow this standard? No. Did you follow this test? No. Did you? I mean, at the end, it's like a funny, not funny to be honest. I mean, it's funny when you think about it now, but when it was at the moment, it was like, guys, and they are blaming you. It was my story. So it's like they are blaming you, saying, "Oh, we had promised that we have to launch next month, in April, 1st of April, etc., etc." So like, yeah, it's a joke or it's April Fool. So what are you talking about? April? I mean, no, it's not possible because we missed that. We have to redo that. Oh no, no, it's not possible. Or I will lose my job if I don't put it. It's your fault. And then he's blaming on the CEO, saying, "Oh, regulatory affairs doesn't want us to launch on time." Say,
and
guys.
yes, true. And even like sometimes when we say, okay, that but notified body cannot accept to review maybe the updates, or maybe we have, okay, so we have to change another notified body, maybe another one, we pay him more and he will, no, but it doesn't work like that. So
Exactly. I
I
mean, I
mean,
had, I
usually,
had, I had also a funny thing. I mean, as you said, you can pay it more or whatever. Had a US company that comes to me, how much it costs? Give me a number, and we will make it. Say, you can give me millions, it doesn't change anything. It will not change whatever. I mean, I can ask you 10 millions, it will not change whatever. I mean, the things will be the same process, the same thing. So yeah, this is the mentality where, as I said, and it's. I hope with this episode we can make it clear that area should be involved early. And here are the reasons, maybe, or we can also explain to you maybe the reasons why for that. It's mainly what we discussed with Aouda, is just to develop, if I can say, a guide on here are the steps where maybe area is it should be available and why it is important, so that maybe it helps you in the future.
yeah,
So yeah, can we start with maybe the first phase? I think we will go through the different phases of the design and development. So
yeah.
concept and feasibility, I think first.
So yeah, I mean, the regulatory teams can assess the regulatory classification, identify a require approval pathway. So, for example, if we will go with the 510K, de novo, CE marketing, and advice on the design inputs with the compliance in mind. So this is the first. I mean, I can say the steps where the regulatory should be involved first of all.
But when we say, for
Yeah.
example, classification, what is the risks if we are not making the classification early already in the process, or we are already defining that early in the process?
So I mean, the risk if we are, for example, we didn't define the classification from the beginning. If we are medical device, if we are cosmetic, if we are pharma, what you are innovating, is it medical device combined? So which pathway we have to go? So in this classification, do we have, for example, predicate product already? Because we are choosing also the 510K, for example, in the US. If is it really new product? Is it implants? Is it combined with the software? Is it robots? So this is really important. Like this is why I said that the early stage of for regulatory in the conception to classify the product is really important. And after, when we have to submit to any authorities or notified body or or FDA. So we will go with really important documentation for if we need a clinical investigation, clinical evaluation report, if we need a strong risk analysis. So this is all that, I mean, all the process can be impacted if we don't have any classification. If we are class one medical device, that's fine. So
Yeah.
we have our quality management system, and we have a DOC, I mean, declaration conformity. We are straightforward and we can go without any problem. So, but we have to know from the beginning the classification. We have to define the classification because there is impact for all our documentation if we need more clinical investigation. So, yeah. So the
And
classification is
example
important.
for MDR, so if you are implantable class 3, for example, you need a clinical investigation, or unless you have an agreement with a competitor so that they give you the clinical data, which I don't think will happen ever, or if it happens, will be a surprise. But mainly, yeah, you should know that before you start, because maybe you will assume, oh, don't worry, for clinical data, we can make an equivalence to another device. Say, no, it's a class 3 implantable. You have to use clinical investigation or clinical data from you, or if you make an equivalence, you have to get a contract with the thing. And it changed the speech now. It changed the things. Imagine now that we tell you that at the end when you finished everything, and then we tell you, oh, by the way, do you have the clinical investigation data for this? What are you talking about? I mean, this is also the kind of surprise can happen if you are not classifying correctly
Yeah.
your device from the beginning.
Yeah. I had faced also one story with one company. I don't want to make any example of that product, but they they ask me for to support them for regulatory and make sure that this is the classification, but from the mind that the low classification is class 2B. I said no, it's really class 3. No, it's class 2B because so for them, class 2A, class 2B, they don't need clinical investigation. So they wanted really, but I said, no, it's not up to you. This is the classification. We are making a risk. We need a clinical investigation. But can you maybe negotiate with the notified body if we can make it later? So, so
Yeah,
I mean, every design, every steps, every time when regulatory has to be part later and involved later. So there is some problem. There is some stories. It's funny sometimes when you think about it, but on the time, like when we are discussing with the CEO, with the designer, with marketing, it's not funny. So
it's not fun. Yeah,
it's making you like, no, come on. So it doesn't work like that. It's
yeah.
we are
I mean,
talking about class 3, so yeah.
It's funny because what you say about can we have the clinical investigation later or clinical evaluation later? I heard also that, and I tell them, okay, yes, but if you kill someone between the time you put it on the market and the clinical evaluation, what will you say? I say, oh, we haven't tested it on before, if I can say to put it on the market. So the logic is that the clinical investigation is not here just to it's not a formality, just a document to fill and it's done. Here it's really to prove that your device is safe and performant and doing really what you are saying it will be doing. So it's not like you are just putting the device on the market and see what happened. Maybe it will happen something or maybe nothing. So
Yes.
no, you have to prove that. Okay, so next phase. So now we have
So
the concept and feasibility done.
yes.
We are fine. We know the rules and classification. What are we doing now?
So next phase is the design and development stage. So there is a lot of design and development. There is a lot of phases in the design and development. So regulatory can define the requirements and guide also on documentation for design history file, risk management, and also ensure that the design control align with FDA, with the ISO, with the MDR expectation. So I mean, we are not asking regulatory to be in every design. So the most important that they have to follow the process. So for every design, outputs, inputs, design transfer, and all the phases, there is design review. So you have to follow the process and you have to be aware about all requirements according to all, the standards we have, even with MDR or even with MDD. If previously we had also to talk about it because there is some certification still under MDD, and also with the FDA, and there is also regulation orders. For example, Japan, China. I'm not talking about only two pathway. There is others which we have to go. So yeah, so
And
yeah,
in terms of that, the regulatory affairs, because the design and development is, as you said, it will take a long time. So we have to define mainly what are the different steps. But mainly at the beginning, I think there are a lot of discussion. I suppose there are also a lot of education for design team at the beginning. For example, okay, can you tell me what exactly your product will be doing? What is mainly the objective of your product so that we have like a scope and square things there. Here is where we are playing and not like, oh, today we are playing here, but tomorrow we are playing here and later
yeah.
it's like changing things. So the objective is also to explain that this square or scope is really important because if you are moving out of that, then we have to change maybe the regulatory process or whatever.
So here we say regulatory strategy. So when we start design and development stage, before that, we have a meeting with all departments and we define our regulatory strategy, where we are going, what we have, what is our product, attended use, purpose, and different phases. And every phase, what we need, the documentation, testing, and everything. It's there is all details. So here, this is why they have to follow this regulatory strategy. From the beginning, we are defining this regulatory strategy. So as I mentioned, so from the beginning, we are here with you. We define the strategy. And after it's up to the design and marketing to follow the steps and the process. So we are just trying to say that don't violate the regulation and the compliance. Just follow the steps. And if there is any question, we are here to support and help, maybe to train. And yeah, so we are not complicated at all.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's good also what you're saying. Don't violate the regulation or whatever. It's more like I'm here. I like your lawyer in the room. You can say whatever you say, but as soon as you say something wrong, I will tell you, be careful of this and that. And usually when we are having some warnings, we come with references. Here is what says the law. And it's funny because when you are doing that, I'm doing that a lot in a meeting room with people and show them the text and say, yes, but when I read it, maybe it means also that. So they are twisting a bit the meaning. I say, yeah, for you, but for me that has many years of experience, worked with many notified bodies, worked with doing many audits. I know that it means that. It doesn't mean what you mean. Yeah, but maybe we can argue, etc. So there are a lot of discussion. Like, it's great. I don't say you should not do that. It's just that it's I like doing that also with marketing because they are really creative when they are reading a law and text saying, I think it means also that. Can we agree that this is
Yes.
not let's not close our eyes. Say yes, okay, let's not
Happened.
close our eyes. But
Yes, true. It happened to me one time with the corporate company. It was like big, and by the way, I was permanent with them. It's about a PRC and authorized rep. So
okay,
the legal team, they understand authorized rep or maybe PRC can be anybody in the company, even the legal lawyer. I said
okay,
no. According to the Article 15, you have to read it and you know who is the PRC. He should have experience on regulatory and quality and this and this and this. And no. So that's fine. We have to fire all regulatory and keep only legal. And we can appoint anybody from our team as a lawyer, and he can answer question from notified body. And like I hear like 3 months after, they got a visit from Swissmedic, and they asked them if they have certificates. I mean, even training
on
as
the
a
regulation.
PRC, and they filled for this audit, and they got warning later, by the way. So because they have to show the post-market surveillance and the complaint handling and all other information. So yeah, it's really funny. So when you understand a law, or maybe when you read it in a different way. So so this is
Yeah, it's important
funny.
I mean,
Yeah.
trust your regulatory affairs person. I think they know what they are talking about. So yeah.
Yes.
What is the next step where we need mainly the people there?
So next step, it will be the verification and validation, VNV. So here, so regulatory ensure that the testing and protocols meet the regulatory standards, and they are all that all evidence support the compliance submission. So here also one of the phase which or steps we have to be part of it. So I mean we are in the I can say in the end, yes. And also in this another phase which we have to be part also is the submission and the market authorization. So during the submission, so we have to compile and submit regulatory dossier, technical documentation, and response to the question to authorities, and prepare the audit because there is an audit when we submit, and also some inspections. And the last is the post-market surveillance. So the regulatory always monitor the safety, and if there is any changes, variation, deficiency, or change in the labeling, so we will be also part of this. So this is all this where we regulatory have to be like really involved and be part of those.
So the point also of submitting the dossier to the authorities, mainly here, if you have done correctly your job during the whole design phase, it's just like a puzzle with pieces that you are placing one after the
Yes.
other, and then
Yes.
here is the full dossier is ready.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the big difficulty is mainly when you are starting to fill the technical file and you miss the VNV test for this, you miss the risk analysis for that, you miss the clinical evaluation for this, you miss the PMCF plan, you miss, I mean, this is the point where you can miss something and then you cannot really fill the full technical file. And telling to the team, oh, we missed this, you have to redo it, makes a bit the project a bit in difficulty, and this is mainly where it happens. So it's really important, I think, for the area people to be there, but I don't think they need to be there every day, every meeting, every time, etc. So what do you advise maybe for this?
I mean, from the beginning, you have to make sure that they are. I mean, when you have the project from the beginning, you have to maybe explain to all departments which they are involved on this project where ARA is needed, where ARA is really involved, and in which time, what we need exactly from us. Then we can follow those all phases and the steps that it will be successful in the end, and we will not be facing any problem during the process, and that the submission will be completed, not in the end when we have to submit to the notified body or authorities. So we will say, oh no, we forgot the test is not complete, we didn't do the biocompatibility, and or we didn't do we don't have all results for clinical investigation. So what I advise, so just communicate with everybody from the beginning. Try to be involved from the beginning, and all what you need to compile your technical documentation. It's really important. So in this case, you are not like after everybody, like, oh no, I have to see what you did, and I have to have this test. No, from the beginning, just try to make rules that now they are not violating the rules. They are following the compliance standards. And after, you have to do your work and ask about the documentation, because why we are asking all these questions. So in the end, when we have our DHF, our technical documentation, so for each steps, we need to have records. So we are talking about kappa, we have records. We are talking about biocompatibility, we have records for all testing. We are talking about clinical, we have a test. We have a design also. We have all steps of the design. So this is why we need those information from the beginning. Yeah.
So in terms of the project, so we say, yeah, we have a design and development projects, we have the different phases, etc. I think one of message maybe for the area people is that you have to be clear maybe of how long takes your phase, because we have some misunderstanding sometimes that we say, okay, yes, we have, for example, 1 year for a submission and maybe getting an approval. And as the project goes along and we are maybe late on other phases or design, whatever, then we are trying at the end to reduce this to say, oh, let's make it 6 months, or let's make it 5 months or 4 months, etc. No, you have also maybe to explain that it's not compressible. The 1 year is a best case,
So
if I can
realistic,
say.
yeah.
It's a
We can
best
say
case.
realistic timeline, because if you need a sterilization, if you need a stability testing, if you need, so you have also to make sure that you have, for example, 12 months stability. We have, I don't know, 36 months stability. Also so I mean, all phases are linked between each other. So this is why when we say from the beginning, the timeline is 1 year to make sure that we have all all stages of the phases and the steps. In the end, for example, the end of June or the end of July, we will submit to the authority. So from the beginning, we calculate, and we can maybe add a little bit of time. That's okay. So it's 13 months, but we know that if we failed on one test or another one, so we are making a little bit of time to maybe to to be sure that there is a week or 2 weeks in every design or every step. So this is the advice I'm always giving to regulatory or maybe to startups. So we have 1 year, but for each design or each phase, so just make maybe 2 weeks more. That if there is any test failed, or maybe if we don't have any document ready, so we still have a time to make it. So
Yeah, I think it's important because yeah, we cannot rush a notified body or even the FDA or anybody. They have their own timing, they have their own resources, they have their own things. So at the end, when we send to them, to be honest, it's like we send, but we never know when we will get the answer. We estimate or we expect to get that, but it's not our fault. So because as I said, a lot of people blame us, say, "Oh, it's their fault. We are late because of them. We are late." It's not us. We are here to help you. So maybe this is that. So can we now explain maybe if people are doing all that, if they are doing all what we have just said now, what do you think can be some advantages? Because I see some advantages if you are doing it right, mainly correctly, and that area is really part of your team and helping you and doing all this. So what do you see as advantages from your side? Hey, just a second. Do you need a EU, Swiss or UK representative? Then choose Easy Medical Device. We can represent you and also become your importer. Contact us at eo@easymedicaldevice.com.
So as I mentioned from the beginning, so involving regulatory from the beginning and early in the projects can bring several key advantages. So both strategic and operational. So one of them is faster time to the market. So regulatory guidance help to avoid and rework and the submission, as we mentioned later, when we said that if we have all documentation, so we know that we are ensuring that design is compliant from the start. So we are complying with the start from the start. So our submission, it will be successful. So we will not rework any phase of those design. So this is the first advantage. So if we are involved from the beginning, the second, so we reduce the risk of non-compliance. What does it mean? So the regulatory ensure that the product meets all local and the national regulatory requirements, reducing the risk of rejection or any recalls. So, for example, sometimes if we are not following a requirement from FDA or maybe China or maybe whatever, so we could maybe have rejected our dossier and said, "Oh no, your risk is not compliant and you didn't do, for example, really all testing we asked you to do." And so this is could be also the second advantage. And number three, it's efficient documentation and submission. So what does it mean? So regulatory can be the involvement of regulatory can streamline the creation of required documentation. For example, DHF, CER, technical documentation, leading to the smoother approval process. So when we have all documentation, when we have all testing, so it will be smooth for the submission. So we can make sure that all our technical documentation are complete with all records. We have all CER complete, risk are complete. So this is also can be advantage of to be involved from the beginning. And I think the number 4 is the cost saving. It's the most important to the CEO and the corporate and everybody. So preventing late stage redesign or field submission can serve as and can save significant time and money. So this is really important. So if
to add to that, maybe there is also sometimes I'm auditing some company like internal audit or whatever, and when we arrive to some design and development, I have some discussion with some area people, and I find out that they are really knowledgeable on the product, knowledgeable on the documentation, knowledgeable on everything, and you feel that they are really part of the projects, and you see that they are signing documents, etc. And they had some other companies where during the audits, when I asked them about the regulatory affairs, I mean the process within the design development, oh no, I'm just waiting that they finish everything and then I assemble everything and put everything on the thing. So it doesn't feel like they are part of it, and it's where I find most of the issues also, where on the documentation or things. Usually this happens more with class one devices, because as they have less control by notified bodies or others, so we have also this kind of feeling.
Yes, this is funny because sometimes, as you mentioned, so for class one devices, so people can maybe think that he has experience on submission and for class one device, and when it's come to the class three medical devices, he said, "Oh, ma'am, I have already experience. I can do it also for class three. I don't mind." But when I asked a question one time to one startup, I told him, "Do you have a template to build your technical documentation, or maybe technical document, technical file?" He said, "No, but you have to create template." I said, "Okay, but do you have a template for technical file? Because I have to fill all, you see that all the
Sections.
clauses and everything, all sections we need, for example, description of product, UDIDI, CER, and after we link it to the dossier, which we have a biological evaluation report." He, in his mind, so he thought that technical file is a template. So I tried to explain him. I said, "Okay, so that's completely fine. We are not." I trained him on everything, but you say that there is a lack of experience of the training, and he thinks that maybe he did already class one medical devices. He will be also expert on class three medical devices. So this is also losing a time and trying to make a delay on the submission because there is a lack of experience. So
yeah, for me, the test is that the question during an interview, if I can say, if I have to hire somebody that is in that position, is that, have you had ever been audited by a notified body or by a FDA or by whoever? We don't care. And if the answer is no, say, okay, you are not, you still have not the experience, because as soon as you get audited by FDA or notified body or a certification body, whatever, you understand your responsibility. You understand what you have to provide. You understand that you have really some role, that you have really some work to do on this, on that, etc., etc. And without this pain or this because it's a pain, to be honest. When you get a question and they say, "Can you provide me this?" and you know you don't have that, or you have no clue what they are talking about, etc., you say, "Oh my God, it will be a bad day today." So it's
of course, yeah, this is the feeling only people who were audited and they audit also they can have it. So when you have auditor in front of you asking you a question, "Give me the policy, a quality policy, give me the like a quality goals, give me this and this," and you have to be smart and quicker, like tack 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 tack, like really fast and like without thinking. So you have to really be involved on these audits to be sure that you know all and each document's details and everything. So, and this
exactly.
feeling of stressful situation and yeah, so
So it's why, yeah, you cannot say that you are experienced if you haven't passed an audit. So great.
true.
Great. So thank you, Aouda, for that. So I think it provides all the information about mainly when the array will be involved. So I hope people now understand more about mainly the objective of a regulatory affairs person. Also, yeah, involve them on your project if you are a designer, and if you are a regulatory affairs person, try to educate your team why it's important to involve you within the design and development, because maybe some people are hearing that and say, "Oh, I've never been part of a design review, I've never been part of a kickoff meeting for a project like that, etc." So try to talk maybe to your CEO, your manager, or whoever, to say, we should be involved on this, we should be part of it, because if we are not, then we'll miss something at the end, etc., etc. So it's really, really important. Aouda, how can you help the audience? Because now we talked about all this. So I said you are a consulting person also. What can we do for what can you do for the audience here?
So so by ensuring that all products meet the requirements and compliance standards, my role is involved for interpreting complex regulation. So I also act as a bridge between regulatory authorities and organization. So facilitating, also I can facilitate clear communication, reducing the risk and of the non-compliance, and I can support the audience by helping them bring safe and effectiveness of the product and the compliant product to the market while maintaining the full regulatory integrity.
So you are covering
yes.
all the regions like Europe, FDA, etc. Or?
I'm covering all the regions, and as you know, I speak a lot of 8 languages. Which, like, if there is any product or innovative startup or corporate from Russia or maybe China or Iran or Turkey or maybe Arabic countries or also US and Europe, I can support with any language, so there is no problem.
Yeah,
Yes.
you told me that you speak also Chinese, Mandarin.
Yes, Mandarin. Yes, this is correct. So it's funny, but yes,
It's
Russian
helping. It's
also.
helping a lot for China. So if you have any projects in China, don't hesitate to contact Aouda
Yeah,
also
no
for that.
worries, no worries. So
Anyway, I'll put all your details on the show notes. So with your LinkedIn, your page, your website for your company, so that people can contact you directly. So don't hesitate to contact Aouda directly on LinkedIn if you have any questions. And also, if you have any question about this episode, don't hesitate also to send us some message, and we can really help you on that. Okay, then. Thanks, Aouda. Really pleasure. Thank you very
Thank
much,
you,
and
me
I wish
too.
you a nice day.
Thank you. Wish you a nice day. Bye-bye. Bye.